You've got like 7 seconds to impress a recruiter or a hiring manager with your resume, according to statistics. So you have to make it count. But over and over again, we've worked now with hundreds and hundreds of pharmacist clients, and their resumes, when they hand it to us, it's not good. So in this video, I want to share with you some very simple things that you can do to make your resume stand out so much better. And before I do, a quick caveat here. We do not recommend that you hire a resume writer. Hiring one is kind of like polishing a turd. If you haven't done the work to really pinpoint what amazing things you've done in your rotations, in your residency, in your career, they won't be able to do very much. A very talented resume writer may be able to unearth these things, but what we found over and over again after working with clients who hire resume writers to work on it, it usually doesn't turn out very well. So let's dig into what you can do to make a much better resume. So that leads us to the first point, which is to brain dump everything you've done. And I mean, try to be everything. In our course, Resume Mastery, which you can access for free in our community, and it's CE certified, you can learn how to do this using our Excel spreadsheet system. Now, in general, if you don't want to do that, I would encourage you to just write out every single task, every recurring thing that you do, the estimated average number of patients that you've helped. Think about over the span of your career, how many prescriptions you filled, how many IV bags you changed, how many, just all of the things that you have done. This is one of the best things that you can do for your career because you don't want to put all of it in a resume. Okay. Most jobs are looking for a resume and not a CV. If you're in academia, they probably want one, potentially in a research role, maybe in some pharma roles, but most jobs want a resume. Managers don't have the time to review everything that you've done in your career. So they want 1 to 2 pages of that information. But the only way that you can best do that is if you clear your mind out of everything you've ever done. Whenever I've worked with a client, I'm never surprised anymore that when I get them to write down everything, it's only then that we can put the really good information on a resume. I remember one client who was wanting to get into pharma, and they were specifically wanting medical information. And they said, I don't have any experience doing that. And so after asking some questions, digging deep with them and asking the quintessential question, when have you ever educated a patient? She all of a sudden had thousands of experiences to pull from that she could put on her resume, which ultimately landed interviews and job offers. By doing this step, it makes everything else so much easier. And by using our spreadsheet to document all of these things, it'll help you highlight the skills that you've learned along the way. It'll help you think about the metrics of what you've accomplished. And that is the next step in the resume advice. So many people make is having generic, not tailored bullet points on their resume. They'll say things like verified orders. No one cares that you can verify an order. Tell me about the number that you do in a day, how that's improved over time. What metrics have you changed in your tenure at your job? How have you made a difference? Because if you're a hiring manager and you see 15 resumes that all say verified orders, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to think you're all average. And I don't even care that you verified orders because in this job, it's not going to be that. I only say this because you can say that you verified orders, but relate it to an accomplishment. Just talking about your activities puts the hiring manager in a situation where they have to assume that you're either average or below average because other people can probably claim the same activity. But what stands out to a hiring manager is when you can relate that to an outcome. That communicates the quality of your work. I touched on this very briefly, but that leads us to the next mistake, which is not tailoring your experience to the role that you're applying to. Look, We could talk about the methods here. I'll break it down really simply, but the simple solution is use AI, use ChatGPT. It's free. Paste the job that you're wanting to apply to and say, I want to apply to this job. Here's my resume. Help me tailor my accomplishments point by point to match the experience that they are looking for. For my clients that are watching this video, use Alex AI, which is trained on all pharmacy knowledge that I have and our clients have and our coaches have to help people make the best progress and the best resumes possible. By tailoring what you've done to the job, you are more likely to break through the applicant tracking system, and you're more likely to get noticed when it actually gets on the manager's desk. Which leads us to the next mistake, and that is omitting keywords. When you apply through a job board, which is one of the least successful ways of getting interviews and job offers, you are competing against an AI that isn't trying to rule you in as a viable candidate. It's trying to rule as many people out. Reason being is because most jobs, particularly if it's a desirable, non-traditional, or even a remote role, they get so many applications that they have to have systems to rule people out. You know, if you've never been a manager before, you have to understand that these people are working typically very hard. And they're trying to please everyone, from the people that they're serving to the higher ups. They do not have the time to adequately review every single resume with the same scrutiny. They're going to use hacks. They're going to use shortcuts. So they are going to skim through the list that they have and see if any name pops out to them, if they know anybody. Then they're going to look at the schools that they went to, or maybe their previous employer, and think to themselves, do I know anyone at that school that can vouch for this person? Did I go to that school? And that kind of creates that bond. As humans, we use familiarity as a shortcut more than anything else. You need to play to that, which is why working on your resume is important, but certainly not the most important in terms of building a true career that you're happy with. Because after all, it's a job referral that is the most statistically likely tool that you can use to get an interview. The next mistake that people make is wasting space on their resume. If you just put that you're a part of an association without saying what you did in it, you're wasting time. Imagine that you've just paid your dues and then you go to the interview, if you get one, and then they ask you, so I see that you're a part of ASHP. What have you done in the organization? And if you haven't accomplished anything, not volunteered, not submitted a publication, not even voted on something, don't include it in a resume. Don't waste space with frivolous things like references available upon request or skills and experiences that they don't need or want in the job, even if it is the main thing that you did at your last job. Don't include it. It's not worth mentioning. And the final mistake that we see people make is just not having an honest opinion of your resume. If you have a friend who's a manager, a supervisor, an old mentor from college even, or a professor, reach out to your alumni group and have someone review your resume for free. Getting some opinions is better than absolutely nothing. The worst thing about looking for a job is that it can feel insanely lonely and you're not getting any feedback. And the feedback you often do get, if anything, is rejection letters, which doesn't tell you anything about what to change in the resume. So join our community. We have a free community where we have tons of resources to help you with your resume and cover letter and networking and LinkedIn and all these other things that you need to do in order to transition into a job you actually enjoy. We would love to help you and have you in one of our live workshops where we talk about remote careers, non-traditional pharma roles, and help people land jobs they actually want. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know if you've made some of these mistakes or maybe some questions that you have about resume. If we didn't cover something, it's probably because there's so much to actually talk about. We have all of our courses for free in the community, and they're even CE certified. Check them out. I know for certain that it'll help you have a better resume. But also understand too, just a final note, the resume, it's the tip of the iceberg. honestly, if you have a referral, if the hiring manager wants you there for the interview, the resume is really not that important. It's that recommendation that you desperately need in order to get an interview above everything else. So until I see you in the next video, stay curious and take care.